Hey folks, this is Kalani. Welcome back to the Legion Alpha, where Demonology Warlock has finally stopped crashing the game, so we can actually have a look at a few of their abilities. As with all of these videos, we'll go through their basic abilities, then their talents, and how the artifact will affect how we play. Bear in mind that all Warlocks have gone back to Soul Shards, meaning that we don't have Demonic Fury, so we don't have Metamorphosis, and we'll be building Soul Shards and spending them. Thankfully, it seems to be actually pretty quick. It's not like how Destruction Warlock was, where you get the embers over quite a long time and then you burst them all at once. So we'll have a look at these rather quickly. Doom is pretty much what it's always been, except you cast it once for 16 seconds, and it does damage once at the end of 16 seconds, meaning it's a little bit of a pain to keep up compared to what it used to be, but alas, it is pretty much the same. Keep it up at all times, make sure it's doing all the damage it can. Then we've got Shadow Vault, basic filler ability, but it generates one soul shard, which is always nice. Then we've got Hand of Gul'dan. Now, you call down a demonic meteor full of wild imps, which burst forth to attack the target for 12 seconds, meaning obviously you've got 12 seconds of wild imps. They summon up to 5 wild imps dependent on how many soul shards that you use. So if you use 4, it'll summon 5, you would assume, meaning that's probably the ideal place to use it. I guess numbers will tell with that. Then we've also got called Dreadstalkers. Basically you throw 2 demon dogs at a target for 12 seconds on a 15-second cooldown, giving it a 3-second downtime every time you cast it. So that's pretty cool. As you can see, it's a lot of demons. You summon a lot of demons, which, you know, Demonology Warlock is what you'd probably expect. Then, where would we be if we couldn't empower the demons? Demonic Empowerment empowers up to 3 of your active demons with dark energies, increasing their haste and health by 50% for 12 seconds on a 12-second recharge, meaning you can keep this up constantly, but it only affects 3 of your active demons, but it does prefer stronger demons first, meaning that if we summon 2 dogs, and we use Demonic Empowerment, it'll do those 3, because that's the 2 dogs and the summon. But if we had Hand of Gul'dan wild imps, and dogs, and summon minion, it would probably still do the 2 dogs and just summon minion, because they're the strongest ones. So it's obviously going to maximize your DPS. But let's just have a lot of minions out for a moment. And you can see how a Demonology Warlock truly is a Demonology Warlock now. But we can have a look at our next one, Demon Wrath. Encircles your demons with a crackle of energy every 0.79 seconds. Deals a bit of damage, and each time it deals damage it's a 15% chance to generate a soul shard and can be channeled while moving. So let's get our demons out here again. So much for channeled while moving. Oh, there we go. So that's pretty cool. I can see Demonology Warlocks being crazy in AoE if you can actually set up your demons. If you don't have time to set up your demons, you're probably going to be pants. Then we have the Command Demon ability, which is basically what it's always been. You can command it to use its most powerful ability. For the Wrathguard or Felguard, that's obviously its Bladestorm equivalent. So that hasn't really changed. Then some of these other abilities, Summon Doomguard and Summon Infernal, don't seem to have changed, except they do cost 1 soul shard. They're still on the shared cooldown, which is 3 minutes, and they basically do the same thing. So your Doomguard is going to be single target, and your Infernal is going to be AoE. But what is nice is that you can summon a Doomguard and empower it. So that's going to be pretty important, I would think. Then some other abilities that we have, you've got Summon Demon for all of your demons. We've got pretty much everything else which comes with a Warlock. We'll go through that in a little while. That one's from our artifacts, so we'll look at that later. Unending Resolve, that's basically what it's been. Life Tap seems to be more important right now. I did have some troubles with mana while leveling through the artifact, or well, completing the artifact quest. Banish, Demonic Gateway. Doesn't seem to have changed. Create Healthstone, Create Soulwell, Enslave Demon, Eye of Kilrog, Fear, Health Funnel, Ritual of Summoning, Soulstone, and of course Unending Breath, the most important one of all. So that's pretty much all of the basic abilities. You can see that it's going to revolve around soul shard juggling, I guess, with getting the most out of Hand of Gul'dan, keeping your Dreadstalkers up and empowering them as often as possible, and then, well, I guess Shadow Bolt for single target and Demon Wrath for an AoE. So, let's blast through the talents as quickly as possible. Demonic Empowerment also causes your next Shadow Bolt to be instant. Empower your demons, throw off an instant Shadow Bolt. Sounds cool. Shadow Flame, lob a ball of Shadow Flame at the target, dealing a bit of damage and a bit of damage over time, which stacks. Although it only lasts for 8 seconds, but it does have 2 charges. So it stacks 14-second recharge, meaning you should be able to get 3 stacks of that, depending on how it works. So, let's have a look at the animation. Generates 1 soul shard. Cool. So yeah, should be able to stack that up to 3, if that comes off. If you're smarter with that, potentially. Now, Demonic Calling. Shadow Bolt has a 10% chance to make your next Call Dreadstalkers free. So instead of costing 2 soul shards, it wouldn't cost any at all. Potentially very powerful, depending on how our juggling goes. Impending Doom. Doom also summons 2 Wild Imps when it deals damage, so another 2 Wild Imps every 16 seconds, give or take. Improved Dreadstalkers. Call Dreadstalkers now summons 2 Wild Imps. And they ride on the back, which means they also despawn when the Dreadstalkers despawn, so just adds a little bit of damage to your Dreadstalkers. Implosion. Demonic Forces suck all of your Wild Imps towards the target and then causes them to violently explode. So best way to get Wild Imps is through Hand of Gul'dan. Use 4 shards on that, and then Implosion. Doesn't seem to blow them all up at the same time. Unless it doesn't actually kill your imps. Interesting. That's pretty cool. Soul Leech. Shadow Bolt grants you and your pet Shadow Shields that absorb 30% of the damage they dealt for 15 seconds. Where would we be without a Mortal Coil? Seems to pretty much have the same effect, although it doesn't deal any damage, just horrifies and heals. Shadow Fury. Let's give a look at that animation, actually. That seemed a bit new, but not overly amazing. Shadow Fury should be the same as what it's always been. Let's see if it's got a new animation. It's got cast time. No new animation. Hand of Doom. Hand of Gul'dan now also applies Doom to all targets that it hits. Very potent AoE talent. Power Trip. Demonic Empowerment affects all of your active demons. So how many demons can we have out? We can have our Hand of Gul'dan and our Doomguard and some Dreadstalkers. That's pretty OP. Soul Harvest, 2-minute cooldown, refill 5 soul shards.
I don't have a target.
That's interesting. It's a shame you wouldn't be able to use that and then swap a talent at the start of a fight because it'd be on cooldown. That might be a little too powerful. Demonic Circle. A lot of people were a little disappointed to see this as a talent, but it works pretty much the same way as the current Demonic Circle does, except you can only place it once, so you don't have an ability and a recall. So you have to click off a buff to be able to resummon it again. And if you use it again, you just teleport back. Burning Rush is pretty much what it has been for a while now. It's kill yourself to go a bit faster. Dark Pact sacrifices 20% of your demon's current health to shield you for 400% of the sacrificed health for 20 seconds. If you have no demon, your health is sacrificed instead. It's a 1-minute cooldown. Grimoire of Supremacy empowers your demon pet, causing it to have 20% increased health and 20% increased damage. Doesn't seem to turn it into the empowered demon though, so it's still a Felguard instead of a Wrathguard, and pretty much the same for all of them. So I'm not sure if they're doing away with those, or we might see them somewhere else. Grimoire of Service, instantly summon a second demon, which fights for you for 25 seconds. The demon will instantly use one of its special abilities when summoned. So they seem to be on a 2-minute cooldown and cost a soul shard. Can we summon a second? Well, let's summon the first one. Send it to attack. Can we summon a second one? Cool, so you could double up demons. You just can't control one of them. And it lasts for 25 seconds. Grimoire of Synergy. When you or your demon deal damage, there's a chance to trigger Demonic Synergy, granting the other one 15% increased damage for 15 seconds. Summon Inquisitor. You summon a Demonic Inquisitor that will launch Shadow Frost volleys at all targets that you have doomed. Obviously going to be very powerful with Hand of Doom if you can manage to get a lot of targets afflicted. Demon Bolt. Draw energy from demons and launch a ball of demonic energy at the target, dealing damage increased by each demon that you have, and generates 1 soul shard and replaces Shadow Bolt. So, with just the one demon, about 9k damage. Let's see what we can get with a few imps and some Dreadstalkers. 21k, non-crits. So that's going to be powerful, very powerful. And then last we have Demonic Servitude. You are now able to maintain your control over even greater demons indefinitely, allowing you to summon Doomguards and Infernals as permanent pets. Which, you know, we can pretty much just have fun with. Permanent pet. Not quite as fun, potentially, as Demon Bolt, although probably a nice DPS bonus for anyone who's too lazy to summon a lot of demons and keep them up a lot of the time. So, that's cool. Let's have a look at the artifact. So, your knife doesn't really do anything. It's the Skull of the Minari that we're actually interested in. As a base, your Shadow Bolts can enrage Thalkiel, causing him to teleport to your enemies and scream, dealing a decent amount of damage within 5 yards every 1.5 seconds for 6 seconds, and fearing lesser undead and demons. I've never actually seen this happen. And after standing here casting Shadow Bolts for God knows how long, I still haven't seen it happen. So that might not be implemented yet, which is a bit disappointing because that's kind of cool. Thalkiel's Consumption, 1 minute cooldown, which drains the life from all of your pets and unleashes a blast of shadow damage at your current target equal to the life he stole. So obviously the more pets you have, the more damage that's going to deal. That didn't really have much of an animation either, which is a little disappointing. But let's have a look at the talents that we have to work with. So that's the first one that we get, the Consumption ability. We just went over that. Summoner's Prowess. Bear in mind these have several ranks, so if it's 3%, chances are it's going to go 369 or 3610, depending on the talent. Increases the haste and health provided by Demonic Empowerment. Open Link increases the healing of Soul Link. Sharpened Dreadfangs increases the crit strike scaling of your Dreadstalkers. Wow, that's kind of crazy. Dread of Night. Called Dreadstalker will summon a third Dreadstalker, even more demons for everything that revolves around summoning more demons. Firm Resolve. Reduce the cooldown of Unending Resolve by 20, 40, 60 seconds, I guess. First big one, Imp to the Breach. When your Wild Imp would expire, it instead charges the enemy and explodes. Cool! Free implosions. Increase the damage of Demon Wrath by 10, 20, 30%, potentially. Dirty Hands increases the crit strike damage of Hand of Gul'dan. Siphon of the Minari. Each summoned demon increases the mana gained from Life Tap. Interesting. So I guess they do want us to use Life Tap quite a bit, and it's going to be even more beneficial if you use it when you have a lot of demons. Infernal Furnace. Increases the damage of your Wild Imp's Firebolt. Next big one, the Expendables. When your Wild Imps die, other pets are inspired and gain 1% additional damage. This effect stacks up to 25 times. Wow. Weird, cool, I like it. More of Shadows increases the crit strike chance of Shadow Bolt. The Doom of Azeroth increases the damage of Doom. Last big one, Stolen Power. When your pets deal damage, you gain a stack of Stolen Power. At 100 stacks, your next Shadow Bolt is increased in damage significantly. Cool. Imp Slap. When Hand of Gul'dan critically strikes, it summons twice as many Wild Imps. Holy crap sticks. And then Summoner's Prowess increases... Nope, we already went through that one. Cool, so that's it. Some of these are crazy. I love what they've done with the artifacts and some of these talents. It's just crazy pretty much across the board, and they seem ridiculously powerful, and I can't wait to actually get my hands on a fully powered artifact and just wreak havoc with it. It's going to be super cool. But that is Demonology Warlock. Just quickly look at the mastery. Okay, the mastery hasn't changed. It's still damage of demons. So I guess this is probably going to be a toss-up between crit and mastery, depending on how everything works out with all of our abilities and obviously how the stats weigh into our rotation as a whole. So we'll wait on the numbers, guys, to figure out exactly what we'll be doing on that front. But that is it for this video. If you have any questions, queries or theories, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to you. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.